Chapter 5. The Gilded Cage. The train slid smoothly into the station, a world away from the gritty charm of the London Underground. Here, on the manicured outskirts of the city where Nexus Innovations had built its global headquarters, the air itself felt filtered. The building loomed ahead, a monument of steel and smoke glass designed to look both futuristic and utterly impenetrable. It wasn't an office, it was a fortress. A gilded cage where careers were made and broken in hushed, carpeted corridors. Alex adjusted the knot of his simple, dark tie. He wore a charcoal suit that was well-tailored but deliberately understated. He was not here to peacock like Andy Vance. He was here to blend in, to be the gray man in the background, the one nobody notices until it's too late. In his pocket, his phone was cold and inert. The information he needed was already burnt into his memory, delivered by Elena that morning in a message as crisp and efficient as she was. COO is Alastair Davies. Old school, ex-finance. Hates two things, surprises and lawsuits. His EA owes me a favor. You have 15 minutes at 2 p.m. Subject, proactive risk mitigation strategy for Project Phoenix in Chiom. Don't waste it. Alex walked through the cavernous, echoing lobby, his security pass granting him access with a polite electronic chime. He was a lion, not walking into the den, but being politely escorted to the king's private chambers. He felt no nerves, only a profound and chilling focus. Every step, every word he was about to utter had been rehearsed in the cold theater of his mind. He wasn't carrying a weapon. He was the weapon, calibrated to strike at the exact structural weakness of his target. Alastair Davies' office was on the top floor, a corner suite with a panoramic view of the rolling green hills that surrounded the corporate campus. The man himself matched the room perfectly. Expensive, orderly, and possessing an air of absolute authority. He was in his late 50s with impeccably styled silver hair and eyes that missed nothing. He didn't rise when Alex entered, merely gesturing to the leather chair opposite his vast, empty desk. Thorne, Davies began, his voice smooth but with an edge of impatience. Your email was vague. The Phoenix launch was near perfect. What risk could possibly warrant a personal visit? Alex sat, placing his hands on his knees. He met the COO's gaze directly, projecting calm competence. Mr. Davies, my concern isn't with Phoenix's current performance, but its future, and more broadly, the future of the company's digital strategy. This piqued Davies' interest slightly. Go on. The new head of digital strategy role is a critical appointment, Alex said, his tone measured and respectful. Whoever takes that chair will be handed the keys to our entire online presence. Their vision will become our vision. Their intellectual property, in essence, becomes company property. A summary of the job description, I'm aware, Davies said, his fingers tapping a silent rhythm on the polished wood. My point, sir, is about liability, Alex continued, Dacia adopting the language of the C-suite. We live in an age of aggressive litigation. Ideas are currency, and corporations are deep pockets. It occurred to me that we must ensure any proposal submitted for this role, any strategic framework a candidate presents as their own, is completely and verifiably original. He paused, letting the implication hang in the air. We need to guarantee that we aren't inadvertently acquiring a lawsuit along with a new executive. Davies stopped tapping. He leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. He was a creature of finance, a man who saw the world in terms of assets and liabilities. Alex had just handed him a potential liability worth millions. Are you suggesting a candidate's proposal is unoriginal? Davies asked, his voice now dangerously soft. Not at all, Alex lied smoothly. I have the utmost faith in the integrity of all candidates. It's about perception and due diligence, a proactive measure. For example, and here Alex played his ace. I was reviewing some of our old M&A diligence files to prepare my own submission. I stumbled upon the file for that boutique firm, Su Cognita Analytic, the one we almost acquired, a fascinating strategy they had developed, utterly brilliant. He let the name settle in the quiet room. C Cognito Analytics. He watched Davies' sharp mind work, saw the flicker of recognition in his eyes. Their proposal was rejected, but their intellectual property remains theirs, Alex continued. Imagine a scenario where a candidate, having perhaps seen a similar strategy elsewhere, unconsciously innovates along the same lines. To an outside observer, to Stu Cognito's lawyers, it wouldn't look like innovation. It would look like theft. The trap was sprung. He hadn't mentioned Andy Vance. He hadn't presented a shred of evidence. He had painted a terrifyingly plausible and expensive hypothetical. The reputational damage alone would be immense, Alex concluded. Let alone the legal costs and potential settlement, it would poison the new role from the very beginning. Davies was silent for a long moment, staring out the window as if calculating potential damages against the serene landscape. The Gilded Cage suddenly had bars made of legal briefs and bad press. "What do you propose?" Davies asked finally, his gaze snapping back to Alex. This was a crucial moment. Alex had to offer the solution. A solution that would seem fair, impartial, and entirely his own idea. "A simple, confidential third-party audit," Alex said, "of all proposals submitted for the role. Before a final decision is made, we hire an outside firm to vet the submissions against a database of existing strategic frameworks, ensuring everything is clean. It protects the company from liability, and it protects the candidates, myself included, from any future unfounded accusations. It's just good governance." Myself included, the phrase was masterful. It removed any hint of personal animus, positioning Alex as a man of principle, concerned only with the company's welfare. Alistair Davies nodded slowly, a decision forming behind his cool eyes. "That is prudent. A very prudent suggestion, Thorne. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Your proactive approach is noted." The dismissal was polite but firm. The meeting was over. Alex stood and gave a respectful nod. "Thank you for your time, sir." As he walked out of the COO's office and back into the sterile, silent corridor, he allowed himself the barest hint of a smile. It wasn't triumphant. It was the cold, satisfied smile of an engineer watching a complex machine power on exactly as designed. He hadn't fired the weapon. He had simply handed it to Alistair Davies, showed him where to aim it, and convinced him it was his own idea to pull the trigger. The internal audit was now inevitable. Andy's stolen proposal was a time bomb, and the timer was now counting down. Riding the silent elevator down, Alex's thoughts shifted. The corporate mechanism was now in motion, but it was slow, methodical. He needed to accelerate the timeline and ensure the explosion was as messy and public as possible for Andy. He needed a catalyst. He needed a spark. He thought of Mark Sharma, weeping in a concrete stairwell, crushed by family debt and his boss's cruel manipulation. The audit would expose Andy as a fraud. But Mark's desperation, that could be used to expose him as a monster. The trap was set. Now it was time to bait it with something Mark couldn't possibly resist.